Hello everyone, I'm Ace of Clubs Kid, and today I'm going to be doing another headphone review, or comparison actually. And today, again, I have my Skullcandy Aviators, and I did another couple of videos on these actually. I compared them last time I did a comparison, I compared them to the Beats by Dr. Dre Solo HDs, which I concluded were not a very good value for your money, and you were probably better off either buying these or some other pair of headphones. Today I'm going to be comparing them to the Bose AE2. Now this is a really good comparison because first of all, Bose is a brand that's been around for a long time, and this is also exactly the same price as the Skullcandies. So they're a lot more comparable, and it should be a lot easier to kind of talk about them and that kind of thing. Both of these cost $150. These are actually my brother's. I didn't buy these, but yeah, I'm just using them for comparison. So yeah. First of all, let's talk about non-sound related stuff. You can just kind of skip past this if you want to, but this is also important. They're very similar from that level as well. I mean, at least for a couple of features. They both have a removable cable. This one's a little bit different, whereas you can see it has a little bit of a opening there, kind of a whole open part there, and this slides in. I guess this is kind of to make it look like there's no removable cable. Maybe it's, I don't know, it's kind of an interesting look, but there's no real big purpose behind it. And the other end looks really different. It's a 45-degree angled cable, as you can see, which is kind of nice. Not too big of a deal. I will talk about that in just a minute, though, because I just remembered something about that. The Skullcandy Aviators also have a removable cable. And whereas that one is rubber, just kind of a rubber cable, it's thicker and nicer quality than, like, say, an Apple earbud cable, even though they're both rubber, just to give you an idea. This one just has a straight audio jack. There's not at any angle, and it looks like this. Now, the one thing that's nice about having a 45-degree angle jack is that you're generally not going to get so much wear on it, which is nice because when it's angled up like this, when it's in your pocket, it's probably not going to be just going straight up like that. It's probably going to be bent at some way. And I have had some problems where that kind of does get cut. You can fix that by maybe putting some heat shrink on there, heat shrink tubing, and then kind of like heating it up so that it closes on there and you have more protection over that area. Or you can just get a cable like this. Now this isn't that big of a deal because you could just remove the cables and you can buy a different one for either one if something happens. So that's really nice. But, yeah, try not to spend too much time on the little things. The focus of this video is going to be sound quality, and also not making this like a 20-minute video like it was last time. Moving on, let's look at, I'm going to take both the cables out just for the point of talking about them for here on out. Let's talk about the aesthetic, or in other words, how they look, what materials they're made out of, and that kind of stuff. The Bose, I'm going to put these on. You can see pretty much all plastic. I mean, not even pretty much. They are all plastic, and then we have some leather for the ear cups. And they only fold this way. They don't really, I don't really know if you could call that folding. It's more of a swivel. And they do kind of swivel back the other way, but not all the way. They just swivel this way, and that's as much as they do. This part also pivots out a little bit, about I'd say 30-degree angle or so. Just for a general idea. The top part is sort of a soft, it's not memory foam, it's leather on the top, and then it's sort of a soft fabric. I'd almost call it like microfiber kind of fabric on the top. So that's pretty comfortable. They're really light, so you could just wear these for hours and hours and hours. Not going to bother you. They do have a bit better passive noise cancellation, and what that is, very simply put, is how much they just block out noise when you put them on. Active noise cancellation uses electronics, and it basically uses a microphone, and that's like in the headphone, and then it takes an idea of how loud it is outside of the headphone, and then it uses white noise or something like that to help conceal it. So the music you're listening to, it has the illusion of being like in a quiet room. So that's generally more expensive. And yeah, so those cost quite a bit more. I think that the Bose headphones that have the active noise cancellation cost around $400. But we're not really talking about those. Just Just as a quick comparison, that's what that does. You can see the actual headphone cable right here, which is really cool. It's on the outside. It's kind of a flat cable, which is really neat. I think it's really neat how they did that. I don't know, just a small thing that I noticed. It just goes in really well. On the Beats, for example, it was a lot more concealed. It kind of like went within the wire, or within the metal. And it was a really thin wire, if you may have noticed. It was a really thin, like, it was smaller than the Apple earbud wire, and it was just, like, concealed in the headband, which is a big problem. Anyways, so that's that. Pretty much all plastic. They didn't hold up all that well. My brother's had these less time than I've had my Skullcandy Aviators. Granted, these are actually a new pair. I got a warranty on them. But, yeah, but basically the logo on the side were kind of rubbed off. So you can just faintly see it. Try to get some better light. But you can just barely see it. Not that that's really a big deal, but if you're really that kind of a person who really likes the look nice and stay really good looking, that might bother you. Like I said, these, I did get a warranty on them. The cable got messed up, which fortunately they fixed. The older model, you couldn't remove the cable, but yeah, that got messed up because, like I said, the thing that happened with those, the cable at the end, it got kind of bent around and just sort of messed up because I was rough on them. Anyways, point is, these fix that issue, and if that were to happen again, I'd just buy a new cable for like $5 or so. And that happens with both of these, you know, pretty much happens with a lot of headphones. Anyways, point is, that happened. Obviously, we have a lot more materials in this headphone. You can see, I'll just give you a 360 here. We have leather for the ear cups. We have chrome accents on the sides. We have polycarbonate for the, I believe it's polycarbonate, for the kind of sunglass aviator part, which gives it the name. We have nylon cable. I'm not really sure what kind of metal this is. I think I said it in my other video, but anyways, there's that. There's another, probably a polycarbonate or something like that on the side here. We have some more metal on the actual headband, and we have a metal Rock Nation logo, and that's about it. So quite a lot more materials in this one. So I think it definitely gives it a nicer overall look. It seems like you're getting, at least from a style point, you're getting a lot more what you pay for. $150. I think these look like $150 headphones. These maybe don't so much. Not that that really has anything to do with how they sound, but just from a purely aesthetic point. Yeah, so I definitely like these. Definitely partial to the looks on these. And like I just did, these do fold up, whereas the Bose don't fold up. And these come with a nice little leather case. It's pretty small. These have a much bigger case. And it's about, it's bigger than just the headphones folded up like that. So it's harder to carry around. So you can't just clip it to your backpack or whatever. So that's another thing to consider. Comfort. I talked about these before again. But these are very, very comfortable. Also really light. I was trying to, before I did this review, determine which ones were lighter. And okay, I'm sorry about that. My camera died there. But, so yeah. Back to what I was saying. In comparison to both of these, they have very different materials in which they're actually built from, but, and you know, this one's much more centered around looking good, and this one's just more of a simple design. It's much more focused around the sound rather than the looks, because kind of that's what Bose does. They don't really make headphones that look that great, they make headphones that sound really good. So I think that's about all that needs to be said with that, on that. I will talk just a little bit about, the Bose do seem to be a bit more, kind of adjust your head a bit better. Like, you can see, like I said before, this part here angles to about 30 degrees or so, which is nice. I don't think it's entirely necessary. It's a little bit, you can notice it a little bit, and it also kind of swivels both ways, but it's a small little thing. Not huge. I'm not really going to compare these directly. Obviously, these look better than these, but these are still also really comfortable. So I can't really give one of them an exact winner. I think kind of comparing how good they look, anyways, is sort of, you know, it's just a matter of preference. Some people might like these more. maybe those are too flashy, but anyways, at least in my opinion, that's what these are. So anyways, now we're going to skip to the most important thing about the two headphones, which is the sound. Now, as opposed to just talking about sort of the highs and lows and mids and stuff, just general speaking, what I decided to do this time is, using both headphones, I listened to 4 songs, and I listened to both of the songs twice, once with each pair of headphones, and I kind of compare the different things that I'd noticed. So, the first song is Starscat by Caravan Palace, and you can check that out on YouTube or wherever. You can get it on iTunes. They're a band that I really like. These are all bands that I like. So, of course, why would I listen to bands I don't like? Anyways, so these, so one of the things that I noticed when I was listening to them with the Bose headphones is that they have more of kind of a clap sound on the breaks. And if you listen to the song, you'll understand a lot more what I mean. But there's kind of there's there's parts throughout the song where, you know, there's like more of a clarinet and like, yeah, woodwind type section, and it sort of changes over, and it's like an electronic sound. And on that part, you hear more of like a clap. Whereas with the Skullcandies, I would notice it's more of just kind of a subtle break. You don't really hear you hear like a defined sound when it changes. So that's a small thing. That has to do with the highs. These are more prominent with the highs. Is kind of the more, you know, technical way of saying it. The deeper bass on these does sound more like hollow. It sounds like it's supposed to be there, but it's not really there. And if you're used to hearing more bass, then these really aren't that good for that. I liked the sound. I certainly liked the sound on the Skullcandies more for this sound. I also thought the vocals sounded more full. It's more of an electronic sounding vocal. It's a deeper, more electronic vocal, and I thought they sounded a lot better on the Aviators. But this is my personal preference, again. So I think that for that song, the Skullcandies win. I also listened to Professional Griefers by Gerard Way and Deadmau5. Now, on the Bose, I noticed that the intro part, and once again, you can listen to this song again on YouTube or iTunes, whatever. The intro part, I thought sounded a bit more flat. Like, nothing's really stands out or anything, and I don't really like how that sounds too much. The bass isn't really very noticeable. And the vocals sound crisp, but they don't really sound good enough to where it makes up for how little bass there is. So if you like electronic music, you like that sort of thing, I would definitely say that the Aviators win in that department. Now, with the Aviators, I noticed that the sound sort of echoes where it needs to. You know, you feel more of a, it's hard to describe it any other way than just saying echoes. The background, you can hear the noises in sort of, you know, I would refer to as the background. You can hear them pretty fully, as well as the kind of more frontal sound. So there's a good separation. You can hear both parts of it. The bass is still really full and punchy, even though it's a very different kind of bass from the one in Starscat. And the bass also complements but doesn't overpower the vocals, because that song has electronic elements as well as, you know, vocal elements, and they go with each other perfectly, which is how it should be, instead of just a lot of bass and you can't really hear the vocals too much. So that's a really nice balance. I also like the Aviators more for that. And I should also mention, I'm not really being paid by any company to say this. This is my own personal opinion. This is what I think sounds better. Next song we have, I thought I would give this more of a, maybe more natural sound. So I have kind of more of an indie band. I have the Mumford & Sons, I Will Wait, and the Bose definitely, I'll just say right off the bat, these definitely win for this band, for this song. The intro, the banjo and the guitar sound really nice and sharp. It's really prominent. It sounds really crisp and clear, like you're just right there. The vocals are really clear and are incredibly clear and crisp. This sounds like I said, just like you're right in the studio listening to them. That's really nice. The background vocals and everything else, all the little sort of details put into it, you can also hear really well. So I would say if you're more of kind of a rock or, you know, indie, that kind of genre, more guitars and vocals heavy, then I would recommend these more for that. The Aviators, I noticed that the guitar and banjo are less clear or pronounced. The vocals are still really full. If you don't really listen to a lot of different headphones and that kind of thing, you're not really used to higher quality headphones, you probably won't notice the difference too much. So it's not like they sound bad, it's just that the Bose are better. The background also still sounds really clear, and there's a really good range of sound. Like, I noticed you could hear the bass more, while you can also hear the vocals, whereas with the Bose you would just more be focused on the vocals, if that makes sense. The last song I listened to is Helena, and I had to say that there are elements of both of these headphones that are really nice, and they're pretty equal to each other. I wouldn't say that one of them wins. So, with the Bose, I noticed that the guitar strums and the drum kind of parts where you hear the drum hit, it's more pronounced, whereas, okay, and then the guitar is also more prominent. The drums rather are the next most prominent, and the highs are the most powerful thing that you hear. That's the thing about Bose, really. The highs are the most pronounced part. That's why they're good for guitar and that kind of music. On the Aviators, I noticed there was kind of a fuller sound just from the intro. So, like, right when you start listening to the song, it's really full sounding and complete. The drums and vocals are the most prominent, so you hear, you know, more of a focus on just the drums and the vocals, whereas the guitar you can still hear. It's a bit more in the background, but yeah. The cymbals and the guitar are still really clear as well, like I just said. And yeah, like I said, the guitar is still powerful. So those are just some of the notes I took. That was maybe the best presentation, but that's pretty much all of the things I can say about these. I think these are surprisingly good headphones. Like I said, I thought the Bose, actually, coming out of it, I thought the Bose were going to sound a lot better, but they really just excel with, you know, more guitar and drum and vocal type stuff, whereas the Aviators are a lot better with more kind of bassy or electronic or that kind of stuff, but they're also really well-rounded. I would say that if you listen to a really big variety of music, you probably want to go with the Aviators. If you listen to just solely like rock and guitar and you know, drums and that kind of stuff, more just natural sounding music, I would definitely go with Bose. Neither of them are bad. Both of them have really good quality. They're pretty good brands, and yeah, so that's about it. Thanks for watching. I'm Ace of Clubs Kid, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.